Hi everyone, I'm Hasdelol, and welcome to another episode of Games and Books that inspire me as a director in film and games. And today I'm going to be going through a book called Making Video Games, and it's by the authors Duncan Harris and Alex Wiltshire. Now, I remember getting this book about over a year ago, and I thought I knew as much as I knew about making video games. But what's really cool about this is this isn't so much of a how to, this is more of like celebrating the art of creating digital worlds and video game. And it interviews a bunch of developers, which I always love getting into the insight of other developers and their process. So let's go into it. Cool. All right, so look at the content. So we have introduction, making spaceships, dimensions of light, art through mathematics, right through down to first person fear. This is going to be great. All right, let's do it. Nice artwork, which is cool. Always helps. Video games are a visual art. So a bit of blurb here about just what games are. What are the foundations of what the history of games are, right through to like Super Mario 64 and early 3D games. This is great. It's great text here. I love this section at the end of this preface, which is, this book can't attempt to encompass all the invention and design that go into making art for games today, nor all the technical principles underlying it. But these insights reveal the deep thinking behind worlds that look alive. This is great. Okay, I'm excited. Okay, making spaceships. So this is going to be using the game Hardspace Shipbreaker. Developer Blackbird Interactive. Okay, let's have a look at it. I do like this bit of text here from the game developer saying, games rarely portray the dirty nuts and bolts of spaceships, instead preferring to follow the heroic drama of fighters and cruisers in action. But Hardspace Shipbreaker pushes the industry of space to the fore. Immense and aged vessels have been hauled into orbit around Earth so the player Shipbreaker can dismantle them for scrap. This is cool. All right. So this is all about the art of making these environments, especially these spaceship environments, and for this game. Oh, this is cool. It's really good. Get a little texture work there as well. It's really nice. A little blur from the art director. With Shipbreaker, we're trying to get a blue-collar environment like Cowboy Bebop and so cyberpunk stories. That everyman vibe. We also wanted an industrial sci-fi vibe, so we didn't want anything too Star Trek-y, too glossy. This is very cool. I like the fact he says it has to feel worn and has an implied function. It kind of reminds me of like the set design to the movie Alien. So I'm sure this was a big inspiration to them as well. This is really cool stuff here. I love the high quality imagery as well in this book. Like, none of this boxed images. An entire page or 2 pages just really showcasing the beautiful artwork involved. Wow, this is cool. Scale models, docking procedure, shipping lane. I mean, you can tell the developers are like proper into spaceship design and the space transportation in general. But I just love how they brought that griminess to it. And I think they really did get inspired by Nostromo and Alien, which is not a bad thing. Oh, destruction as well, which is cool. All the destruction side of things. Oh, this is beautiful. What's this? Alright, so the next one is Dimensions of Light. And the game they're going to be using to tell this whole subject is a game called Control, which I love, by the way. It's made by Remedy Entertainment. Alright, so it's all about lighting. So in this third-person action game, you play as Jessie Faden, who has come to the mysterious headquarters of the Federal Bureau of Control on a search for her missing brother. It's not long before this paranormal space has made her its new director. This is cool. Oh wow, I like how they've gone for black and white imagery. This is cool. I like that. Astral Spike Central Executives. So okay, so the environment work here. So unlike, so the previous one we looked at with Shipbreaker was all very industrial, worn, blue collar type, factory worker type vibe. Whereas here, this is all like brutalism. So kind of like Soviet brutalism in the architecture. And what's great is both the games I've just looked at so far, they use environment as a device to inspire the gameplay or to design the gameplay around it, not just about tone and art. This is very cool. Wow. I mean, just that image alone just says it all, right? It's amazing. Got the piping work. The consoles. Yeah, that's really weird. Floating bodies there outside of the window. This really sets a tone. I mean, this is all about art direction. It's got a kind of horror vibe to it. It's very cool. They talk about here black and white, where the developers controls lighting artists played with degrees of contrast and creating silhouettes in monochromatic settings. It really does work, this whole monochromatic look. It's beautiful. Bit of volumetric light to get some of this fog in there. It's great. It's very trippy. Yeah, I love this. This is beautiful. I mean, there's a level of cinematography in this game. This is a good example of fusing cinema and game design together to create this feeling. I do remember playing this one. I was like pretty blown away by the tone of this game and the atmospherics. And the weirdness too. Wow. They even go into stuff about the game engine itself, because this wasn't done in Unreal. So Northlight is the game engine used, performs physical based rendering PBR to simulate the play of light from a multitude of different surfaces. It's very cool. I love this book because you have the visuals that really show off the art, and they don't need text to talk about so much about the art, but they talk about the technicalities of making the art, which is great. I love this. Whoa. Even though like a lot of the images we saw were monochromatic, when they do bring color in, like the colors are different shades of reds, and you really get the sense of like this is not a nice place to hang out, and there is something paranormal. We get demonic and dangerous. It's very cool. Even this is all red. It's got that monochromatic vibeness to that red. This is very inspirational stuff. Okay, so that was Control. All right, so this is now Art Through Mathematics. Okay, this is cool. So this is called Paper Beast. Developers Pixel Reef. Let's have a look. So it's a different style of art. I think this is like a solo developer as well. Since he began making games in the 80s, Eric Chahi has paired his strong visual imagination with leading technical effects. Ooh, this is cool. Oh, he was responsible for the game Another World. Ah, okay. One of my videos talk about Another World, by the way. I love that game. Rotoscoping video and translating to polygons. So this developer is very technically based, but he uses the technical elements of his skill to generate art, as opposed to trying to create specific art in a certain style like Control. Here he's using the code to generate the art in a kind of like a procedural way. This is very cool. I like that. Yeah, this is cool. This is like procedural code generating art. I love that. Wow, I get some really weird, trippy stuff. Living creatures can collide or interact with any tree, even a single leaf, and they can leave footprints because the environment is stored in textures and buffers. And animals are also simulated on the GPU. They have direct access to the surrounding environment. This is really, really cool techie stuff here. Wow. I love it. There's a certain look to it, right? A certain style. I think unfortunately today AI would generate images like this, but there's something about this. Now I know that it's AI generated, like you can do this in AI with like Midjourney and stuff, but there's something about this that feels raw, if you know what I mean. Like it's, you can tell there's all this imperfection here, and there is this randomness that creates this level of beauty, which that's not what Midjourney does or any of these AI generative art does. There's a certain sheen to the AI generative art, whereas this is code driven. This is mathematics driven. There's something clean about this. Not that I'm anti generative AI, by the way, but this I have a lot of respect for, because you can tell the code is generating this stuff, and it's not like ripping from another source. It's generating it based on ones and zeros in the code. This is brilliant. Whoa, really trippy stuff. I love it. There's some kind of photographic elements to it. This is really imaginative work here. Wow. Love this. Okay, this is now generating worlds. This is No Man's Sky. I have a lot of love for this game, by the way, so expect a lot of awesome. But yeah, No Man's Sky was a big inspiration for when we were making Moontopia, our Fortnite game. So this is No Man's Sky by Hello Games. Check it out. This is all about generating worlds. I'm assuming procedurally driven open world worlds, like voxel generation, that kind of thing. So how does a small team of game developers go from making a series of colourful platformers about a motorbike stuntman to this? Well, here we go. Let's check it out. I mean, there's a level of exploration when you look at this game, especially the artwork behind it. Like even that alone, you can tell that the developers love space exploration, and they've just taken it to another level. Beautiful. So all the sort of things that you would usually see, sort of like in the 70s or 60s, when they would have these like artwork, created for NASA or by NASA about what the future planets would look like. I feel like this game took it to another level. It really does push the imagination boundaries massively, like in terms of like what these other worlds will be like, but most importantly, what does it feel like to be immersed in those worlds? I mean, these pictures are beautiful, but it doesn't do justice compared to when you're playing the game. You can see here, like, just the art direction behind this is phenomenal. And it's all, again, all these landscapes are procedurally generated as well. The distance between different landmarks has a huge impact on how you perceive scale. It's a really good note, that. Oh, I love this. Visual balance, natural habitat, starbase. Oh, that's a beautiful image right there. Scale, it has a level of scale. This is very, very Moontopia. I think we got inspired by this a bit much there. I love this. There's real chaos procedural noise, and we don't know what will happen until we turn it on. That's pretty cool. Nice saying. By Grant Duncan. Okay, so A Noble Journey. So this is A Plague Tale: Innocence, and its developer is Asobo Studios. All right, let's check it out. Okay, so this is going like through the medieval times here. Rats swarm and flow through the black death fantasy of A Plague Tale: Innocence. Okay, beautiful art there. Love it. I love how this book just covers every types of genre, but still keeps a consistent theme of worlds and art, fused with technical code. Love it. I love these 2-page artwork. It's great. Even this image alone, you can tell what this game's about. The setting, the tone, everything. There's a really good note here for animation, but it says here, creating the animation of a 6-year-old was really difficult. A kid just doesn't move like an adult. The way they climb, even a little wall, the way they jump, we wanted the player to love him, not to hate him as a useless little buddy, which is really easy to do, so we worked a lot on him, on the narration, the level design, to make him not look like a fool. It was really difficult, trial and error, it was a pain. This is a very, very good insight into creating animation, character animation for, for children, basically. Wow. I like that, look, the thought behind that. Oh, I love this. Very moody. This is beautiful. Wow. Okay, painting history. Disco Elysium. Developer is Elysuim. Okay. Disco Elysium. Let's check it out. Oh, this is a role-playing game. Okay. It's made by an Estonian art collective founded by writer Robert Kovitz. So it's kind of like a Dungeon Dragon RPG. Okay, this looks good. There's got a very painterly vibe to this. Oh wow, this is amazing. Look at this. The entire story more or less takes place within this play space. So this is in the entire game sandbox right here, and then every little thing takes place here. This is beautiful to have, to be able to explain that to some of that. This is where the entire game takes place right in this image here. I love that. That's really cool. Wow, I just love the painterly vibe about this. The art design, the perspective and everything, just really well thought out. I love this where you can see, like, I love the top-down views of stuff where you can, the way they remove the ceiling so you really get a good view of everything. Like, you can even see what the next room is like. I love that. That's really cool. God, these are proper artists doing these environments, man. It's even got kind of like a weird, surreal nature to it. Like, you're going from this room to the stairs, and how the lighting kind of reveals certain parts of it. So you don't really know how big it is because of just the way the shadows kind of hide things. Love this. Great lighting reference. This is beautiful. This is a great lighting reference, man. Wow. Definitely going to send this to my team, my lighting team, to reference for our current project. Just sheer detail. It's phenomenal. The scale of the guy here. Really good quote here from Alexander Rostov. The main thing that I have come to realize is that these are environments with silhouettes. The first thing you notice when you go into an area is the black shape around it, and then the little bit of existence in the middle. Wow. This doesn't happen in first-person games. It does a little bit in platformers, but in isometric games you get a shape, which is your first visual impression when you go into an area in that first fraction of a second, when your visual analysis takes you in an environment. That's beautiful. That's a really good summary of isometric perspective games on the feeling and tone of what those environments do for the player. It's great. I mean, I love isometric games. This is great. God, I'm inspired to go and make one now. Wow. Okay, Solo Sailing, Return of the Obra Dinn. Okay, developer is Lucas Pope. Okay, this is a solo dev. All right. Oh, this is cool. Indie game maker with papers. Nice. I love looking at what solo devs do, because they don't have the resources of a massive team or a big budget. A lot of the time they're doing this in between their other work. And sometimes some of the best ideas come out when you're restricted. So I do see some really cool ideas coming just from solo developers as opposed to big teams or big studios. And even the choice of art as well. Brilliant. Oh, this is cool. I like this. I really like the way Macintosh Plus games looked when I was a kid. They were really special to me and magical. And it does have this kind of Macintosh vibe, like in the early 90s. Oh, look, the resolution of the game is 640 by 360. This must be one of those like handheld consoles or something. I do like this though. This is brilliant. Look at that. Stuff's awesome. This is this art on its own. I love that. Yeah, I think the limitation of a solo dev has pushed this developer to come out with a unique art style that is just consistent, and this has become its own thing. I love that. Even though the conceptually, thematically, it feels big, but the execution is so simple and monochromatic and line drawn with that kind of like early 90s Macintosh vibe that it's become the device for this game, the visual device for the game. It's brilliant. Oh, this is interesting. Video mode. Knowing how important YouTube and Twitch would be to his game's success, Pope worried about how its high contrast and low resolution would look like when compressed into streaming video. Shooting the pixels and using less high contrast color schemes help. Very cool. All right. So the next one now is Driving Realism by the game's called Grid and developer Codemasters. Hey, fun fact, guys. I actually used to work for Codemasters back in the day when I was starting out. So like around 2002, 2003, I was at Codemasters working on Colin McRae Rally. So I have a lot of love for this company, but I didn't work on Grid, obviously. So let's have a look. I do remember one thing working at Codemasters is that they all knew their cars really well, and it was all about realism. There was nothing stylistic about the games they made. It was all about realistic driving games. Amazing. Yeah, look at this. Wow, they've come a long way since I was there. So this is all about realism, this chapter here. Wow. I mean, just right down to lighting, speed. Really capture all of this in just these images. It's amazing. That's very interesting. Grid's developers use the word muscular to define their approach to realizing the game's cars. Some feature bigger body kits or thicker tires. That's cool. Very cool. Track design here. Shanghai Street, wear and tear. That's great. Great. This a little bit of product placement there, or advertising in the sky. I mean, you get all of these decals, right? From advertisers. So this is so cool. I love these kind of screenshots. I mean, full disclosure, when I was at Codemasters, my job was to take screenshots. So this is kind of like a flashback for me, actually. Wow. This is very good. The shape of a car will catch the light in certain ways to produce a little glint and highlight. And the more polygons you can put into that mesh to create that shape, the more you'll be able to catch those subtleties. In real life, there's no such thing as a perfect surface. You might have some kind of supercar, but it's still got a little bit of imperfection to the paint when you look at it up close. A slight ripple down the side of the bodywork, that's what really starts to sell it as a physical object and not just a CG model, by John Lewis, the art director. Very, very good way of looking at it, and it's a very good motivation, inspiration to any artists out there looking to make photorealistic things. It's all about the imperfections. What beautiful imagery. Okay, so this chapter is called Pixel Perfect and covering the game River City Girls by a developer, Way Forward. Okay, let's have a look. Okay. This is very anime driven. Okay, I'm loving this. Oh, cool. I love pixel art. This is great. Oh, this is cool. We got like little comic book type text at the bottom. Nice. Pixel projection. So Way Forward used various forms of 2D in its games, including Shantae's combination of 2D characters and 3D backgrounds, but River City Girls' presentation is entirely 2D, which is significantly cheaper to produce. Nice. This is all 2D artwork. Beautiful. I love this little quote here from the developer Adam Tierney. Adam Tierney. For Super Nintendo or NES games, those developers weren't trying to be retro. They were trying to do the best art they could within the limitation of the system. That's essentially what we're still doing. We don't have the exact limitations anymore. Ever since the Game Boy Advance era, we don't really have to deal with palettes or tile counts anymore. But we're still pushing the boundaries to as high a quality as we can within the feasibility of production time. That alone is game developer quote of the year. I mean, that pretty much explains the thought of every game developer making games in terms of limitations. This is great. It should be like on a plaque on a wall of this. That's great. Love these game level designs here. Again, because it's 2D, all the game level design is done in strips, right? Massive, long tiled landscape strips. And you're just side scrolling left and right. It's brilliant. I mean, you literally design the level in Photoshop or whatever 2D art software you use. There's no Unreal Engine, no 3D, nothing. God, we should make games like this. So much quicker as well. But so much loving the art, right? This is cool. Might make a 2D scroller in Fortnite. That's quite inspirational. So cool. I love this. You really have a good eye for perspective and scale when you're making these type of sort of like level design in these sort of games, these 2D games. Pixel art as well. So this is like sprite-based animation. Wow. I love this stuff. This is so cool. You can see a lot of thoughts being put into the movie. I guess today, if I was to make a sprite-based game, I would use mocap and then take certain poses from that mocap session and then draw on top of those. It's very cool. This is really anime driven. I love this. Okay, Physical Beats, Thumper by developer Drool. Okay, let's have a look. Drool describes it as a rhythm violence. So this is music-based games, but how does art drive music-based games? Whereas those sort of games are pretty much predominantly driven by the audio. How does the visuals fit in? Well, let's have a look. Okay. This kind of reminds me of the developer Jeff Minter. He made a game called Tempest. It's got these kind of vibes to it. Glowing light on the track is the cue. Oh, this is cool. So the glowing light on the track is the cue to hit the action button when the beetle touches it, thus sending a pulse of energy forward to hit the boss. Succeed 3 times and the stage is won. Love it. Rhythm violence. That's a really good term to use for games like this. Rhythm violence. Love it. Whoa, this is really trippy, man. Visual music. Very cool. It's so cool. I love this. I mean, this is imagery generated by the music that's driving the visuals to create these thrusts of light. Very cool. Love it. I like this. It's all subjective in terms of what's happening in the frame. It was getting that feel, stretching things out so it feels faster. That's a VR game as well. Pretty cool. Thumper also extracts physicality from distorting the screen, subtly stretching out the image at its edges as if you're seeing the world through a lens. Very cool. I love that. Visual distortion. Beautiful. Alright, building for virtual reality, Half-Life Alyx by Valve Software. Oh, this is going to be good. Part game design, bushwhacker, part action blockbuster. Half-Life is a legendary series. From its outset, it has defined many of the core principles of the story-led first-person shooter. Very cool. Nice. This is beautiful work. It's all VR as well. I love reading about the problems that developers had. So here's something from Rob Briscoe, the environment artist on this Half-Life game. One of the problems we had was that some of these set pieces had things we wanted the player to look at, and a lot of the time players preferred to be looking at the ground around them. It was really hard to make people look up. In normal 2D video games, you can take the camera away from the player and you can go into a cinematic cutscene and direct the view exactly where you want it to be. But physically, you can't do that in VR without making people throw up. I love that. Very good insight into the world of VR game development there. It's always interesting, isn't it, the whole VR thing, having sort of like floating hands, because you can't really have arms, right? So it's very cool. It's pretty interesting though, how they managed to get this level of fidelity in the art of this game of Half-Life Alyx, because you know VR is quite restricted to the hardware, but they've got this beautiful art here. Wow. God, look at the mood on that. That's awesome. Great color palette. I'm loving it. Oh, the sense of scale. Wow. And right through the fog as well. So you get this silhouette. Alright, so the next one is First Person Fear, Soma by Frictional Games. Sweden-based Frictional Games has built a unique place for itself as an indie developer of first-person horror since releasing its debut game, Penumbra Overdrive, in 2007. I mean, these guys really know how to do atmosphere. I mean, look at this. Wow. Just love that. Little quote from one of the artists. First person allows you to create spaces that can feel much more intimate than a third person, because you're just that much closer to everything and you can treat your spaces within realistic constraints. Often in third person games, you have hallways that are super wide because everything needs to fit through them. We can work with very narrow and tight spaces and create feelings of claustrophobia. That again is a very good insight into the development and reason why certain developers make their games in first person. Their reason isn't a personal choice. Their reason is always about what they want the player to feel when they play the game, which is the choice of the viewpoint. In this case, first person. Very cool. Ooh, I love this. I can see where the light source is. It's just the light source just being down here only. That's the only light source you've got, and a bit outside and there. Like many games, Soma uses light to attract attention. That's very cool. Okay, I like it again. More problems. So one of the hardest things for us in making a horror game is that usually darkness is what's scary, but that's not very helpful from the player to navigate. So we have a big problem when we want everything to be super dim. I don't think we completely solved it in Soma. It's very hard. You can try to make it clear where things are supposed to be completely dark, but it's really tough. And that's by Rasmus Gunnarsson. Very good insight there into why it's really hard to make scary games, because you can't go completely dark. So you have to work with dim lighting. Very cool. I like these sort of insights. Spatial dimension. Very cool. Nice. God, I think I've got to play this game. This looks really cool. I love the atmosphere. Wow. And that's it. That's the end of this book. This is a really awesome book. This again is a masterclass in the art of creating immersive experiences in video games. But just great book. Definitely read this book. If you're a game developer, whether you're an indie developer or AAA developer, get this book from any of your bookshops. Have it on your desk. Have it as a good way to reference, inspire you, motivate you. Even if you just want to flick through something on your lunch break, this is a very good inspirational book to have. So please subscribe to my YouTube channel for more of these book reviews. And there's a lot more books that I have on my shelf that I always reference that inspires me in my job. So until next time, stay safe and see you on the next one. Bye.